and gentlemen, welcome to the IGN Pro League. I bring you this losers match series between EGAxslav of Team Evil Geniuses and the one and only KiwiKaKi of Team Root. One of these guys is going out of the Pro League entirely in this season, so it's all to play for in this best of 5. And who out of these two extremely versatile Protoss combatants will come out on top? We'll find out very shortly, folks. And here's a reminder, you have a chance to win a 3DS courtesy of IGN. Just head over to IGN.com/IPL to find out more. Without further ado, let's get it on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Xel'Naga Caverns. I'm bringing you KiwiKaKi right here in the yellow trunks. He is playing Protoss right here, and he is, of course, from Team Root versus his opponent EGAxslav in the red trunks. He is playing Protoss. He is part of Team Evil Geniuses. Now, these two will go at it, and it will be awesome. That I can guarantee. These two are highly versatile. KiwiKaKi is known for all sorts of crazy builds. EGAxslav, a former Warcraft 3 player, also known for some amazing, and I do mean amazing, builds. So I'm really looking forward to see what these guys can actually pull out of the bag right now. I wouldn't expect to see too much 4-gateway action, certainly not in this first game. It might end up happening later on in the series as these players attempt to gain control over each other. And honestly, you'll tend to find that in, say, best of 5s between Protoss v Protoss, that the first game might not contain a 4-gateway attack, and then the other games, or perhaps those later in the series where the player is looking for a quicker win, will try and use the 4-gateway. But it's always useful in the first matchup to try and get a feel of what exactly your opponent is trying to do. Nice and early gateway there on 12 supply right there for EGAxslav, and then followed up by a gateway on 13 supply for KiwiKaKi. EGAxslav looking for a slightly more aggressive approach versus his opponent looking for a slightly more economically focused approach. It's not a huge difference, but that's all you can really say in the first few minutes of a Protoss v Protoss, which is a matchup is honestly quite knife edge in a wide variety of different ways because of the popularity and the effectiveness of the 4-gateway attack, that timing attack that comes in at around the 7 to 7.5 minute mark. You get a situation where one mistake can end the game entirely, and I've seen several very recent high-profile matchups between extremely competent Protoss. A recent matchup I saw actually between Soke and Naniwa resulted in a loss for Soke as a result of a single, and I do mean a single, misclicked Stalker. That is how close it can get when you've got two very equally matched opponents. However, second Assimilator is coming down for EGAxslav right now, and also a second Assimilator for KiwiKaKi, which would indicate to both that I wouldn't expect to see a 4-gateway attack early on, simply because of that 4-gateway attack usually consists of having one Assimilator down, because that's all you need, and obviously the timing of it is very important. So using those 75 minerals elsewhere is a little bit vital, and as a result, I'd expect a little bit of a longer macro game going forward. KiwiKaKi, a second gateway on the way for him. EGAxslav hasn't actually bothered placing one down as of yet, and that's actually quite an early second gateway for KiwiKaKi, and he hasn't followed it up with anything as of yet. Another pylon coming down for him. 2-gateway through to Colossus technology is a possibility, but that's going to take him a little bit of time to really get any momentum on, and we'll find out whether or not he decides to go for that very soon indeed. EGAxslav Stalker on the way out, having a look around and seeing what he can see, which is not a huge amount right now. EGAxslav just not really bothering with much. He's just got this single gateway up. He's not chrono boosting that cybernetics core that much. He's going straight into a robotics facility right after that, which is interesting actually, because that would be very effective if his opponent decided to go, say, heavy into Stalkers, maybe a Twilight Council into Blink Stalkers with 3 gateways, although he's not done that right now, and he's actually got quite a lot of money. So there we go. He's actually going 2-gateway Twilight Council, an intriguing maneuver, and honestly, I would expect EGAxslav to spot that at some point in the not-too-distant future when he's able to actually get any scouting information. Probably be pumping out an observer out fairly soon as that robotics facility is done. So once he's able to have a look and see what he can see in KiwiKaKi's base, he should be feeling pretty confident about that. 3rd gateway coming down to follow that one up right now, so it becomes a little bit more standard at that point. 2 more gateways coming down for EGAxslav after the robotics facility, which is not all that unusual, allowing EGAxslav to get out an observer much earlier than he would have been able to otherwise, simply put. Why? Well, because building 2 gateways is going to cost quite a lot of money, and of course it holds back your robotics facility, and also allows an early immortal from EGAxslav if he needs it. Although, considering EGAxslav really has reasonable map control right now, that won't be a problem. However, did he see that pro? I believe he did. He's immediately moving out to actually deal with that. That could have been unfortunate. However, it's going to get caught out by the looks of it. EGAxslav. Oh, EGAxslav, it's right there. It's right there, EGAxslav. Oh, good lord. He actually managed to miss that one. He should be able to fight it. Surely. There we go. Finally spots that pro. And KiWiKaKi will not be placing anything there anytime soon. Now, this blink is on the way, and KiWiKaKi is timing his attack specifically so that once blink finishes, he is able to immediately make contact with the enemy. However, watch out, because EGAxslav is preparing for it. He's got sentries on the way, and he's got an immortal. Will he be able to get the second one out? He's already chrono boosted it. I don't think it's going to be out in time. KiWiKaKi will hit the front line before that happens, and he is sitting on 9. Count that. 9 stalkers right now. That's going to be a little bit unpleasant to defend. EGAxslav might be able to do it, and the force fields of the sentries aren't going to prove to be all that useful, considering blink is available. KiWiKaKi's not going to waste that. He's immediately going to blink away from that force field. However, it's actually bought him valuable time, and that means EGAxslav is able to get out a second immortal. So KiWiKaKi should be defeated, I would think, in this particular encounter. He's going to run in there, he's going to see 2 immortals, and immediately he's going to evacuate. And once again, there's the force field. This is giving plenty, and I do say plenty, of time for EGAxslav to actually get some units on the field and repulse this attack. There is a forward pylon, but it's not making a huge amount of difference right now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see KiWiKaKi start to deviate from this strategy, or at least try and expand and actually get some income in and try and overwhelm his opponent in terms of the amount of cash that he's got available. EGAxslav has a full view of what's going on. He has the forces he needs. Now he's transitioning through into robotics bay. Once again, a quick harassment up the ramp, but no damage really done there, and driven away almost immediately. KiWiKaKi cannot win an encounter like that, and he has to know that. He must be aware, so he's no doubt going for something else. However, as a result of going for this strategy, which ended up actually failing against his opponent, at least for the time being at any rate, until he's actually got the numbers he needs to overwhelm EGAxslav, then he is in a situation where he's got a technological disadvantage. A robotics bay down for EGAxslav will prove to be crucial here, and will allow EGAxslav to start pushing out and taking control of the map once again. A quick scout up the ramp, and KiWiKaKi immediately blinking away. Incredible agility there from KiWiKaKi. Having a look around and checking for proxy pylons. Very important thing to do. Of course, there is nothing of the sort right now. EGAxslav scouting out with a Zealot as well. Here comes the Colossus, and KiWiKaKi actually is not aware of the presence of that robotics bay, although he has to surely guess it, considering how early he saw the Immortals. That's the one, and I do mean one, gateway through to robotics facility, and an obvious transition would be to go into Colossi after that. In the meantime, let's see what's going on, because EGAxslav pushing out right now. He does have the firepower that he needs. Down goes the pylon, and EGAxslav looking to take control of this map once again. He's up against 18 stalkers, however, so his immortal count is not that great anymore. The ratio of immortals to stalkers is not ideal. I'd like to see him pump out a few more, but right now, he's going for the Colossus. In the meantime, KiWiKaKi will not let this die. Not at all. And I'm quite surprised, actually, not to see him expanding behind this. His mineral count's starting to get a bit high, so perhaps he might decide to do that. He's going for charge on these Zealots. Probably a reasonable idea. Get in there and do big damage to the Immortals in close range. Once again, in he goes. Does he have the numbers he needs? He's immediately blinking out, and bare minimum losses there, honestly, for KiWiKaKi. This is actually a very low-scoring game up to this point. And right now, EGAxslav is actually out of position. That's going to prove to be a little bit problematic. And KiWiKaKi could take advantage of this. However, he does hang around, which is not ideal. But because of his superior mobility, he's able to get away, only losing a single stalker. So that's not too bad. And he's able to exploit the fact that with those Colossi in the mix, EGAxslav's force is quite slow. KiWiKaKi pushing out once again, and not able to do any real damage, just plinking off the shields of the Immortal. Nothing I would really worry about if I happen to be KiWiKaKi, and still sitting on only one base. Pylons coming down, Zealot charge almost complete. Will that be able to do the damage that he really needs? Expansion coming down for EGAxslav, immediately having to push the forces of KiWiKaKi away once again. EGAxslav still keeping an eye on things. Dark Shrine is on the way for KiWiKaKi. Might not work out so well for him, bearing in mind that his opponent does have that robotics, and he does only have one observer out, however, so you never know. That Observer of KiWiKaKi is getting caught out of position because EGAxslav is keeping that Observer with him, which is fairly smart considering his opponent could start to mix Dark Templar in there. And look at the position of this, actually. This is rather unusual. KiWiKaKi placing a Nexus down right here, out of the way, not in the natural expansion. And, of course, that's a little bit risky, a little bit dicey, but it is unexpected. And any scouting by EGAxslav, and perhaps KiWiKaKi believes that EGAxslav has an Observer in the base, would not be able to see that expansion. In come the charging Zealots. The question is, can EGAxslav hold that line? The force fields are now proving to be extremely useful, ripping apart a few Zealots with no problems whatsoever. And KiWiKaKi thrown back once again. The army count is extremely equal right now, and the economy almost equal. It will certainly get to the point, I believe, where EGAxslav has a fairly significant lead over his opponent. However, KiWiKaKi once again pushing forward, looking to deny that lead, maneuvering around, and honestly, this is going to be a very low-scoring game at this stage, simply because neither of them can really get a good angle on the other. If KiWiKaKi is able to build his forces and get in there and dig out the Immortals, he'll be able to do really well. His force count, of course, is larger than EGAxslav's. However, EGAxslav does have Immortals. He does have Colossi in the mix, which is not something that KiWiKaKi has right now. However, KiWiKaKi has a significant mobility advantage with both charging Zealots and Blink Stalkers. And heck, he's even put a couple of Observers in the mix as well to make sure that nothing happens. And here comes the charge right here. And those force fields actually not all that effective. KiWiKaKi can easily blink through, and that's exactly what he does. Follows it up right here. Zealots at the front getting torn apart by the Colossi, however. And KiWiKaKi getting forced into a corner. Needs to blink out of that almost immediately. Once again, KiWiKaKi thrown back, and EGAxslav's mix looking very solid right now. His force composition is extremely strong and difficult to deal with. Once again, blinking in and trying to pick off a Colossus. Will he be able to do it in time? No, he will not, and loses several Stalkers in the process, so not what I would call ideal. However, KiWiKaKi did manage to drop in a couple of Dark Templar, and if that Observer isn't there in time, that Nexus will go down. It's already in the red, and it looks like it will die. There we go. Nice play there by KiWiKaKi, and a mistake there by EGAxslav, rather critical in fact. Takes the Dark Templar out in a single spiteful blast of laser energy, and in the meantime, a Dark Templar into the back does significant economic damage to EGAxslav. EGAxslav pulled most of his probes off the line, however, Pylon taking out one of the gateways unpowered while all that was going on. So that is nasty. That is not what you want at all. KiWiKaKi should now be able to gain the upper hand since he has a secure expansion. I wonder if EGAxslav will actually spot it. He knows it's there, in fact, so he will start to apply the aggression. However, he will leave his base undefended if he decides to do that, and KiWiKaKi is going to be able to wreak havoc and let slip the Dogs of War inside EGAxslav's base. That expansion is doomed. However, the main base of EGAxslav is under an awful lot of pressure right now. KiWiKaKi picks off an Observer, moving in there once again. He's going to be able to snipe off those pylons, and the lack of mobility for EGAxslav is not going to prove to be helpful for him right now. That's one dead robotics facility, and no Colossi for you. He'll be able to shut down all the production of his opponent. Down goes the Warp Gate, down goes the Robotics Bay as well, and the Dark Templar in the mix, slicing its way through as many probes as possible. EGAxslav is in a lot of trouble right now. Needs to fall back, needs to deal with this. His base is getting gutted. He has nothing really left in terms of production aside from that single Warp Gate. Trying to trap KiWiKaKi. He was ready to receive as he blinks off the side of that, and the Immortal starts to rip through the forces. However, good focus fire there by KiWiKaKi. Rapidly reduced force count there for him, but he is able to deal so much damage to EGAxslav. And still, that Dark Templar in the mix with 16 kills. Even looking to try and pick off a Colossus, a cheeky maneuver. Not able to do the job, as you might imagine, but KiWiKaKi now in a dominant position, and that mix of gateway units proving to be extremely useful. He did lose an expansion. He is almost mined out right now. However, his economy is nowhere near as bad as EGAxslav, who is down to 6 harvesters only, and is currently unable to expand due to these harassment attacks of KiWiKaKi. EGAxslav's only hope right now really is to go for a base race, is to actually get aggressive and start attacking KiWiKaKi, kill his base before he loses his. And KiWiKaKi is just leading him a merry chase, a merry dance around this map. Not ideal. EGAxslav needs to stop chasing him and start getting aggressive. That's his only option right now. He certainly cannot be thinking that he can really rebuild his forces. He doesn't have the money. He's got enough money to expand, but he's only got 6 probes, so it really doesn't make a difference. Once again, KiwiKaKi looking for an angle right here. EGAxslav continuing to hang around a defensive formation, which to me doesn't seem like a good idea at all. Needs to get in there, needs to start to do big damage. Look at that. KiwiKaKi actually has bare minimum defense and is currently doing long-distance mining. His economy is now in even worse state than EGAxslav. He has to get in there. Why, oh why he's not doing it is anybody's guess. Maybe he thinks he can actually trap KiwiKaKi's forces, but KiwiKaKi has Blink. His mobility and his escape potential is second to none. He can easily escape. Look at that. Blink straight past the slow and sluggish forces of EGAxslav. Looks for an interception on the bottom of the ramp, but KiwiKaKi doesn't have to do anything of the sort. Up come the Colossi, doing damage. Stalkers need to get out of there immediately, and it looks like he might be able to trap him in there. Nice play there by EGAxslav, and crushing KiwiKaKi's forces. Loses a Colossus, might even lose a second one, but there you go. Nicely eliminated, and now the counter-attack can come in. And will this patience actually pay off? KiwiKaKi forced to cancel out of that, and actually, he has barely any units. He's only got a single Zealot on the field. So EGAxslav biding his time, waiting, and what looked like a really bad idea actually proved to be an excellent strategy for EGAxslav. Very, very cool-headed, and I believe that most players would have just simply charged in there, and KiwiKaKi actually does not have the money to defend against this, and he doesn't have the unit count either. It's 3 Stalkers and an Observer versus 2 Colossus, and a huge army of Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries. There is no way that KiwiKaKi will be able to pull this away from EGAxslav, I'm afraid. He tried, but EGAxslav just deceived him. He tricked him. He sprung a trap right here on his opponent, and there we go, into the base, and I cannot expect that KiwiKaKi will be able to do anything about this. Down goes the robotics, down goes the Nexus, and a dramatic turn of events in this particular encounter. An excellent Protoss v Protoss matchup as the Nexus is destroyed, exploding in blue particles. Nothing remaining of the once proud base of KiwiKaKi. There is a single Dark Templar on the field. It is defending all it's worth right now. An Observer will clean it up. However, EGAxslav actually doesn't have one. He has no Observer now. It doesn't matter, however. KiwiKaKi has not rebuilt their base. He is being revealed, and certainly EGAxslav should be able to eliminate it. Still, KiwiKaKi holds on for dear life with a single Dark Templar and 3 of those Stalkers. However, EGAxslav does have that Observer. He's drawing him right back to it once that Dark Templar goes down. Surely, you would expect to see KiwiKaKi give up. Here it is. Here's the Observer right now. He should be able to spot that Dark Templar, annihilated almost immediately. DT actually pulls back out of the way. However, there's just nothing left. There's no Harvesters for KiwiKaKi. He's barely got any units. He's only got 3 Stalkers on the field, which is nowhere near enough. EGAxslav pumps out a second wave of units, and what can you really expect right now? I'm not entirely sure why KiwiKaKi hasn't really given this up at this point in time, but credit to EGAxslav, all credit to EGAxslav. You know, this is one of these times when I'm really happy to be wrong. Really thinking, hey, he's got to get in there, he's got to get aggressive, and EGAxslav actually proved that he didn't. He proved that patience is a virtue. He proved that he was able to simply outlast KiwiKaKi and lure him into a position where even Blink Stalkers could not escape. GG, ladies and gentlemen. Well played there by EGAxslav. Excellent play. Very classy indeed. And the first game in this best of 5 series goes to him. We'll be right back in just a few short moments, folks. Don't go anywhere.